On this road in El Paso, Texas, stretching as far as the eye can see, thousands of trucks make their way back to Mexico after dropping billions of dollars worth of goods bound for U.S. consumers.
This is a scene that you see every day. Millions of dollars of product are coming in from Mexico into the United States.
For the first time in more than 2 decades, Mexico overtook China as the largest importer of goods to the U.S. Mexican goods imported to the U.S. totaled $475 billion in 2023, about $20 billion higher than the previous year. During that same period, Chinese goods imported to the U.S. came to $427 billion, $110 billion less than the year prior, and imports from Mexico are still climbing. In the first 8 months of this year, U.S. imports from Mexico reached $334 billion, 5.8% higher than the same period in 2023. Fueling that trend are simmering trade tensions between Beijing and Washington, an effort to bring U.S. imports closer to home, and a burgeoning Mexican manufacturing base. But there's another factor at play. To avoid American tariffs, Chinese companies are using Mexico as a backdoor to the U.S. With what you're moving within Mexico itself, the finished product, how much of those Chinese goods actually stay in Mexico, and how much roughly do you think those Chinese products come here to the United States?
I think there's a huge market for Chinese product in Mexico, but the big ticket item here is the US market. That's why China's coming to Mexico.
What we're trying to do is bring stuff from all over the world to Mexico, manufacture here, and send it again abroad.
Chinese car companies, for example, are setting up shop in Mexico. Tariffs on Chinese goods date back to 2018, when the Trump administration launched a trade war with China. To take advantage of the Mexican trade, logistics companies like Maersk, DHL, and Uber Freight are ramping up their investments on both sides of the border.
These companies are coming to Texas. It's a wild, wild west where they are buying up land to secure warehouse space.
At the center of it all is U.S. Customs and Border Protection, one of the world's largest law enforcement agencies with over 60,000 employees.
We will do a complete inspection on it, from instruments of terror to narcotics to country of origin to manifest discrepancies, everything.
More than 650,000 cargo trucks crossed the Isleta-Zaragoza Bridge in El Paso, Texas in 2022. So how is China able to circumvent U.S. tariffs? And what are logistics companies doing to prepare for the upcoming boom in Mexican trade? CNBC traveled to Mexico City and El Paso to find out. In an effort to avoid U.S. tariffs, Chinese companies are moving their raw materials and operations to Mexico. Jordan Dewart is the president of cross-border logistics company Redwood Mexico. In addition to this 100,000 square foot warehouse in El Paso, the company also has about 200 employees in Mexico. How has the landscape changed since the start of the Trump trade war when it comes to Chinese manufacturing?
Well, it's no secret there was a lot of pressure on Chinese companies after those trade wars. And I think we saw immediately an opportunity for Chinese companies to move to Mexico to kind of catch this nearshoring wave.
Ocean container data tracked by freight analytics firms and NADA backs that up.
We have seen 18 months in a row now with ever increasing, basically all-time high monthly imports from China to Mexico.
Container traffic from China to Mexico has surged in recent years. From January to August 2024, China to Mexico container trade was up by 22% from the year prior. That's on top of container trade along the same route in 2023, up 33% from 2022. At the same time, China's container trade to the U.S. has slowed down.
This is where we assemble everything.
We're getting a first-hand look at what some are calling an industrial Chinatown.
Everything we make, we produce here, is going to end up in a major furnishing store in the U.S.
We're in Mexico. This is an hour outside Monterrey, Mexico, about 160 miles from the U.S. southern border.
This region, Mexico's so-called industrial capital, ideal for companies like China's Kuka Home Furnishing looking to reach U.S. customers.
We as American consumers want everything immediately. So, okay, let's open up shop in Mexico.
while Kuka Home says their move was motivated by shorter supply chains, a surge of other Chinese companies flooded Mexico to dodge hefty tariffs President Trump levied during his first term.
Well, actually, that helped us because when they put a tariff there in China, then those companies came to us.
And are they still here?
Yeah, of course. They're growing.
Question is going to be what happens if tariffs are applied to Mexico? That's something President Trump has suggested he might do.
Threatening to hit the U.S.'s southern neighbor and largest trading partner with a 25% tariff on exports to the U.S.
The 25% tariff on Mexico puts me out of business. Simply put, it puts me out of business.
And that, in turn, would leave many here out of work.
If you look around me, you can see, at this factory in particular, the vast majority of people who work here are from Mexico.
Pues mantener a nuestras familias, creo que es lo que todos pensamos.
For now, he's comfortable staying here in Mexico because he has a job, he has opportunity. If you don't have that, he said you have to look for other ways to sustain your family. And he goes, for some, that means migrating to places like the U.S.
The uncertainty of the Trump tariff threat has Kuka Home pausing expansion plans here and leaves other Chinese companies questioning their next move.
This is your Spanish language books.
Yes.
Chinese to Spanish.
Zhang Jianchu is in Mexico scouting future opportunities for his Chinese employer.
With a 25% tariff, is it feasible?
I think most Chinese companies, they are waiting, they are watching, and then they will make the final decision.
Some Chinese companies, though, are full steam ahead with expanding their footprint to be within reach of their U.S. customers.
This is called the Hofusan Industrial Park.
Inside Hofusan,
basically 100% of the companies are Chinese companies here.
Some 40 companies making home appliances, auto parts, light bulbs, medical supplies, you name it, all destined for the U.S. Here, the lines between what's Mexican and what's Chinese quickly become blurred.
You have street signs. You can see the Chinese flag there.
The Chinese flag, yes. It's a restaurant. It's a very nice Chinese restaurant.
Chinese restaurant?
Chinese restaurant, yes.
As I look at the name, your name is mixed into this.
Yeah, it's Holly, Futun, and Santos.
These two shareholders, Holly
Chinese.
Hofusan is expanding rapidly, with plans to eventually cover some 2,000 acres. But that's not been enough for the demand.
This area is just next to Monterrey. It's called Juarez.
Developer Ramiro Gonzalez is now building another so-called industrial Chinatown.
You've got your name in Spanish and then Chinese.
Yes. I'm really happy because the Chinese people call me Talong. Talong means big dragon. Basically, this is a multi-tenant building.
But if Trump's proposed tariffs on Mexico make the U.S. market too expensive, some Chinese companies are confident that they've still got other options.
We can sell to Europe, we can sell to Latin America, even Mexico. Mexico is a big market too.
Yet despite the potential loss Trump's tariffs might cause him, Cesar Santos believes widening cartel violence is a bigger threat to business here in Mexico. So much so that he's given up prime real estate to have a police presence nearby.
La Fuerza Civil?
Fuerza Civil.
I passed that. Yeah. That's on your property.
Fuerza Civil is in our property. Yeah, we donate that area. Yes, in the property.
It's a big part of why he actually supports the man behind the tariffs.
He's strong.
President Trump.
Actually, I like him for all the issues we have in terms of all the criminal gangs and everything like that, the drugs. So we need the help of people like him to stop that.